Tell me when to begin. The truth about personal finance and financial independence, what the Bible and the historic academic research say is the best path to God-honoring financial independence. This is our fifth in a series of 19 lessons on personal finance. Our guiding verses for this study are Job 22:21. Submit to God and be at peace with him, and this way prosperity will come to you. And in Hebrews 11:1, faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. I'm Ron Fisher, and I'll be giving this study. Our study today is you need a budget. Budgeting oftentimes has negative connotations. I like to put a positive perspective on budgeting as a means to meeting your personal financial goals. Our guiding verse is from Proverbs 27:23 through 24. Be sure to know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds, for riches do not endure forever. You need a budget. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, left with no money at the end of the month, without any idea of where your monthly income is going, in credit card debt, without at least $1,000 of emergency savings, and unable to fund 3 to 9 months of emergency savings. You need a budget if you are unable to insure your car, your home, your health, or your life, unable to tithe God's work, unable to invest 15% or more of your salary for your retirement, unable to fund your children's education, if you are not already financially independent. What is a budget? A budget is a tool to reconcile the money you have coming in as salary with the money you spend on a monthly basis. It allows you to spend intentionally and to have your money allocated to align with your values. It allows you to track every dollar you earn and give it a purpose. It allows you to improve your character by changing frivolous spending on wants to disciplined spending on needs and goals. A budget doesn't restrict your spending, but frees you to spend in ways that match your values and complete you. A budget will lead you to peace, only found through a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and financial independence with him. A budget is not living paycheck to paycheck with increasing credit card debt. That is no way to live. It places increasing stress on your life and relationships. As it says in Micah 6:14, you will eat and not be satisfied. Your stomach will still be empty. You will store up but save nothing. Micah 6:14. And in Jeremiah 12:13, they will wear themselves out and gain nothing. If you are undisciplined in your spending, are trying to keep up with the Joneses, or spending more than your budget allows, you need to create a budget and evaluate your spending habits. In Hebrews 12:1 it says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And from Psalm 119:37, turn my eyes away from worthless things. Preserve my life according to your word. We must make a change in our lives and ourselves first. Admit the words of Proverbs. Proverbs 5:12, how I hated discipline. Second, keep your eyes from endless consumerism. Proverbs 17:24, a discerning person keeps wisdom in view, but a fool's eyes wander to the ends of the earth. Life before disciplined spending. At one time we too were foolish, disobedient, deceived, and enslaved by all kinds of passions and pleasures. Titus 3:3. We need to change for our budget to work. As it says in Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is good, pleasing, and perfect will. A budget brings discipline to your spending. We are trying to achieve mindful spending until this is a habit. No, I don't believe you need to have a monthly budget the rest of your life. You need to budget until you and your family have developed mindful spending habits to reach all your financial goals. From Hebrews 12:11, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it will produce a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. No, it's not easy, but it is simple. The goal is to provide a margin in your finances to reach your financial goals. We're looking for mindful spending, thoughtful spending, disciplined spending. Those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. Galatians 5:24. And from Titus 2:12, it teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age. And from Proverbs 27:23 through 24, be sure to know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds, finances, for riches do not endure forever. And from Haggai 1:5 through 6, now this is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. You have planted much but harvested little. You eat but never have your fill. You put on clothes but are not warm. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes in it. A budget makes us intentional with our money. Ephesians 5:15. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. A description of the financially independent. Proverbs 28:8. He is the kind of person who always is thinking about the cost. The financially independent are intentional spenders. They align their spending with their financial goals. From Proverbs 12:1, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. Your zero-based budget provides you with the knowledge of where each and every dollar you spend is going. Some may say, I have the right to spend my money in any way I please. As long as you are able to meet your financial objectives and obligations, this can be true. It says in Corinthians 6:12, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. And from Romans 13:14, do not think about how to gratify the desires of the flesh. And finally, from Luke 12:15, life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. The financially independent are unconcerned with appearances. Most people look at the appearance of wealth and the things that their neighbors have and believe they are wealthy, when in reality they are drowning in a sea of debt. If you are trying to keep up with the Joneses, stop. This is no way to live, and you will never have enough. From Proverbs 13:7, one person pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another person pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. Proverbs 13:7. A budget allows us to evaluate needs versus wants. Most people spend their money as follows. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my work, and this was the reward for all my labor. Ecclesiastes 2:10. And also in Ecclesiastes 6:7, everyone's toil is for their mouth, yet their appetite is never satisfied. Instead, let's listen to the words of Isaiah 55:2. Why spend your money on what is not bread, and your labor on what does not satisfy? Listen to me, and eat what is good, and you will delight in the riches of fare. Isaiah 55:2. And then Proverbs 23:20 through 21. Do not join those who drink too much wine or gorge themselves on meat, for drunkards and gluttons become poor, and drowsiness clothes them in rags. You need a new mindset when it comes to wants versus needs. From Ephesians 2:1 through 3, as for you, you followed the ways of this world. All of us also lived among them at one time, gratifying the cravings of our flesh and following its desires and thoughts. And from Ephesians 4:23 through 24, you were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off the old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. All members of the family need to agree on the budget. All members of the family need to have input and buy-in. There are certain expenses that are non-negotiable. These non-negotiables are things like housing, heat, food, and transportation. It is the negotiable things in the budget that require consensus. Does the budget allow for used versus a new car, basic clothing versus designer threads, homemade meals versus eating out, generic versus name brand foods? Jesus says, in Matthew 12:25. Every household divided against itself will not stand. And again in Luke 11:17, any house divided against itself will fall. Jesus promises to provide for our budgeted needs. Therefore I tell you, so do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6:31 through 33, and Luke 12:29 through 31. And from Deuteronomy 8:9, and you will lack nothing. And from Proverbs 10:17, the Lord does not let the righteous go hungry. Be content in your God-given circumstances. If you are not content in your circumstances, pray to God to give you wisdom on the best way to change your current circumstances. From 1 Timothy 6:6 through 8, but godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. And from Philippians 4:12 through 13, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in every situation, whether living in plenty or want. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. These are the words of Paul in his letter to the Philippians. And from Genesis 33:11, God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need. Jesus uses his disciples as an example of contentment. Then Jesus asked them, his disciples, when I sent you without purse, bag, or sandals, did you lack anything? Nothing, they answered. This is from Luke 22:35. God will only give us what we are ready to receive while maintaining a right relationship with him. We should pray the words of Proverbs from Proverbs 30:8 through 9. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal, and so dishonor the name of my God. A budget is a tool to track our money leaks. If you are consistently overspending in one category of our budget, but underspending in others, we need to adjust our budget. But if we are overspending in a particular budget category without underspending the others, we must reduce our spending in the overspend category. The parable of the lost coin talks about tracking and balancing our finances when it says, from Luke 15:8, or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Doesn't she light a lamp, sweep the home, and search carefully until she finds it? Without finding margin within your budget and the discipline of mindful spending, your chances of becoming financially independent are very slim. If you don't already have a budget, sit down today and work on one. You can use the paper template I handed out, an Excel spreadsheet, or a budgeting app such as YNAB, You Need a Budget. No matter what your current financial circumstances, you can change and improve your financial situation one step at a time. Beginning to budget and sticking to it is a great first step to finding the margin to reach your financial goals. Conclusion. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, there is no money left over at the end of the month to meet your goals. You have no idea where your paycheck went. You have credit card debt, don't have an emergency fund, are unable to tithe God's work, can't afford appropriate insurance, or are unable to invest 15% of your salary for retirement, you need a budget. A budget allows you to reconcile the money coming in as salary with the money you spend on a monthly basis. A budget brings discipline to your spending until mindful spending is a habit. A budget allows us to be intentional with our money and allows us to find exactly how our paycheck is going to be spent to reach our financial goals. Without finding margin within your budget and the discipline of mindful spending, your chances at becoming financially independent are very slim. Action steps. Are you already using a zero-based budget, meaning you've given every dollar of your paycheck a job for the month to meet your financial goals? If not, make a commitment today to write a budget, whether on paper or using an app. Give it a few months of refinement to get your budget working for you. Are you financially independent and mindful in your spending? Are you meeting all your financial goals and putting money away for the future large expenditures? If you can say yes to these questions, maybe you don't need a zero-based budget, but make sure you're covering all the needs outlined in the first couple of slides before foregoing a budget. I pray that this lesson has been beneficial for you and your family as you desire to meet God-honoring financial independence.